Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Gem Drafter. I'm your host, James Newton, and I am joined by my co-host, Corey.
How you guys doing?
They're doing good. They're
Good,
listening.
good.
We are here to talk to you today about a little bit of NFL news and then more rookie talk because that's what we have to talk about right now.
Yep.
So the headlines are not the strongest right now, but especially compared to early March, a little bit disappointing.
Yeah. To say the least, yeah.
So it's not really a headline, but the first thing we're going to talk about here is the Dolphins signed Sony Michel basically later into free agency, like way, way later.
hmm
And I actually looked up all the contracts because I mistakenly thought Philip Lindsay was still a part of this backfield, but he's actually an
He's
unsigned
not?
free agent right now. Yeah.
Oh. Huh.
So there's so many outcomes for this
Yeah.
backfield. Sony Michel was such a highly touted prospect coming out, man. Like there were so
hmm
many dynasty podcasts saying that he was it was after Alvin Kamara, right? Like they were calling him Kamara. They were saying take him
I
at
think
two,
so.
3 in the rookie draft.
Yeah, I thought it was New England that ruined him. I thought it was, just Bill Belichick just playing his games. Everybody has their set role that they do. You got James White, you got a hammer, and then you got another guy. And I just thought after Sony's rookie year, I thought, oh, they're finally going to have a bell cow back. And I went all in on Sony, and that was a terrible choice.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I can't blame you. It's
he looked so good then.
yeah. I cannot blame you at all. Like he was highly touted in that class. But at this point, like for dynasty value, you gotta say he's basically nothing, right? Like still,
Yeah,
even signing
yeah.
with the team.
This whole roster that we're looking at, Edmonds, Mostert, Michelle, Gaskin, Zaquandre White, they're all nothing to me.
Yeah.
I could care less if they're on my roster. Cool. I hope I have the one that hits. If they're not on my roster, cool. Because even if one of these guys hits, can you even get a 23 second?
Maybe in season. I actually want to look up where Chase Edmonds went in my most recent startup draft
Yeah.
because I was able to take him, but I just didn't have the heart to do it. Uh, sorry, I'm stalling
Oh, you're
here.
fine. I think last year I was picking him up in the 12th ish range before Connor signed. I think the ADP started boosting as the offseason went on and nobody was showing up in town and everybody thought Edmonds was the guy. But I mostly traded most of my Edmonds away preseason and got out of him, which was nice.
Chase Edmonds is a small school guy example. Like he's not a typical NFL frame. I think he's like 205, 207. I loved him coming out of college, but like just, that other road that players go down where they're not successful right away in their career. He actually went at the 1308 in that draft. Who did I pick? I picked Zamir White over him.
Of
I
course
just
you
couldn't do
did.
it,
That's
man.
not
I couldn't do it.
that's not even surprised.
Look at
But
I
I
mean, he got 6 million guaranteed, but like I don't know, man. It's hard to trust a guy that's 26 now, didn't break out.
yeah, I his red zone touches are super low. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but he does not get red zone work. Um, but looking at the list here, who is going to get the red zone work? These are probably Sony.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Mostert's not an overly big guy. Edmonds isn't. Gaskin isn't. I don't know much about Zaquandre White.
He's a junior college guy that came to South Carolina this year, but he is actually the biggest out of all those backs, I think.
Oh,
Unless
really? Okay.
Mostert's big, 6 foot, 210 pounds. I'm not saying he's anything special. I think it's worth a UDFA.
Yeah.
Or I keep saying UDFA for
Off
Dynasty
the
Waiver
waivers.
Wire.
Off the
We
waivers.
said it
Yeah.
like
I know
seven
what you mean.
times.
I know
We
what
said
you
it like
mean.
7 times the last episode. He's a great UDFA, even though he was
Yeah.
actually drafted in the NFL
Right.
draft.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I hope he's not listening.
He might be.
He could be. Yeah, this is just a mess. I mean,
You would put Edmonds first, right?
no, I would put them all equal. I think there's an
As far
equal
as
shot.
production,
I guess if we follow the money, we can say Edmonds, but that's literally the only tiebreaker I can come up with for any of them. I mean, Sonya spent time hurt. Mostert spends every year hurt. Gaskin is Gaskin good or is Gaskin bad or did
if
something happen to him last year? That's still a mystery.
if all three of those top guys that I have listed there, Edmonds, Mostert, and Michelle, stay healthy, then I could see Gaskin getting cut
He could.
for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty easily. I'd like to look at the San Francisco running backs as pass catchers over like the last 2 to 3 years, just to see what their target share is like.
Actually, I
Because
didn't have time, but I was gonna pull up just some general San Francisco running stats and running back pass catching stats, but I didn't have time.
I may have something that give us a little clue.
I'm sure it's decent,
Yeah, it
but
can't be terrible.
uh, I don't know if we like necessarily need to dwell on that because we don't even
No,
know what Tua is gonna do. Even though he's not a true running quarterback, he definitely holds the ball. So I mean, in your opinion, does that bode well for running back receptions or the
I
other
think
way?
Tua. I think Tua bodes well for running backs because he's mobile enough. I think to sometimes escape, but I think he's going to look to get that ball out of his hands, especially, I mean, I don't know where he's at with his hip recovery or anything. I saw the hype videos where he moves his feet faster like you guys were talking about. But other than that, I think he wants the ball out of his hands as quickly as possible.
I think that was kind of a joke by Payson, but
Oh, it
I'm
was. It was.
I'm definitely on the fence with Tua, but on the more positive side of the fence, like I'm just gonna take that gamble because he was kind of
Sure.
a somewhat of a freshman phenom in college, and I think he's not as loose with the ball as like a Daniel Jones. So that's something
Hmm.
I'm more willing to invest in that
Yep.
he might not necessarily lose his job to turnovers, but he has been dumb with holding the ball and getting sack fumbles. Like that's just as dumb as an interception sometimes.
Oh,
So
yeah. This is it for Tua as well. This is the last season that we have any hope for Tua, I think. If he doesn't do anything, my roster ship, he's probably going to have to die on my rosters for what I could get in return for him.
see, I don't even necessarily think that because of the QB landscape in the NFL. Like, yeah, all the spots are filled right now. Maybe Jimmy G only has like the Texans or I forgot where else I was talking to somebody about landing spot. You may say that the spots are mostly filled for quarterback, but I mean, there's a lot of not good quarterbacks still out
Yeah,
there. So,
the spots are filled for 2022. Sure.
I
I
mean,
think I think there's anything gonna be any sort of major change coming into the season with anybody. I don't think Malik's coming into camp and beating out Tannehill. I don't think Ritter's coming into camp and beating out Mariota. Maybe Kenny Pickett and Trubisky. That's probably the biggest shift. And possibly somebody beats out Drew Lock. But those are the only two places I can see that don't have a cemented quarterback for the 22 season at least.
Yeah, and I'm just talking about like 23 basically, because we know Tua's cemented in
Mhm.
22, but like worst
Sure.
case scenario, like he goes to another. I don't think that if he doesn't succeed, I mean, 20 draft class of 2020, so it would be his third year if he got benched in 2023. I mean, I don't know. I'm just anyway. We're getting on a tangent kind of with Tua
Oh, we
now
are.
after talking about the Dolphins running
I have
backs,
more
but
I have more points about Tua if you want them. I just think if he is meh at best this year, he becomes Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz range of player.
yeah, there you go. There you go. That's what I
And
was kind of
so,
leading to. Yeah.
yeah, I don't. He needs to be good. I just need Tua to be good, please.
It sounds like you're hoping and praying
Yeah,
for that more than like you're.
I am.
It's not. It sounds like you're kind of rolling with the dynasty community. Like I feel like the dynasty community has this like insane group think of Tua sucks, Tua sucks, Tua sucks, and like, dude, people struggle early in their career. Like
Sure,
we have
sure,
such
sure.
this bias to rookies breaking out right away over the last couple of
hmm
years.
Yeah, he
So
unfortunately got drafted with Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. I mean, that's not Tua's
yeah.
fault, you know. If he got drafted with Daniel Jones, we'd be like, man, we got lucky with Tua, didn't we?
It's not to say that, you know, there's no flaws in Tua. I'm not saying
Right,
that, but
right.
I honestly would have to say a thought that just came to my mind is I think Daniel Jones is more trigger happy than Tua, like more willing to take on risk,
Sure, sure.
and
I
that
could see
can be
that.
lead to fantasy points sometimes.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston style.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzmagic was what came to my head.
So we've talked a lot about the Dolphins, and I guess in a nutshell, the thing I would say is obviously I'm not investing too highly in this backfield,
No,
and if
no.
I had to, it would honestly be in Edmonds, and I would probably want to buy at like 70% of value. That's and anything else would have to be a free waiver ad for me.
Yeah, I would add him off waivers. I was thinking I would send a third, but as I was about to say it to you, I don't know if I'll even send a third
For Edmonds,
for any of the Dolphins backs.
I would send a third for Edmonds, but not a second, not a 23
No,
second.
no, no, no way. Would you send 210 from 22?
Not if Zamir was there.
No. But, so it's probably the same answer at 2.8. I got
Yeah,
Zamir in
yeah,
the
because like,
third.
yeah, that's yeah. Basically,
Yeah.
once it gets to the third, like for yeah, I mean, I got sniped on Zamir in I'm still in one of
hmm
the safe league best ball leagues because I paid for
Okay.
2020,
Okay.
and I had the 212. I thought for sure I was gonna get Zamir there. Someone took him at the
Right.
209, 208.
Wow. Was this after the Raiders' comments about him possibly taking over in 23?
I didn't know about those comments.
Oh, yeah. There's a tweet out there. I'll see if I can pull it up so I can
I
get
thought it was like
exactly.
a speculation from some sort
I
of podcast or fantasy
I
person.
thought it was from somebody within the Raiders organization.
Oh,
Maybe I am
I heard it on a
mistaken.
bunch of podcasts. That's why I'm saying that.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Yeah,
I
somebody
mean,
said
I don't know.
they may let Jacobs walk, and it could be uh, 23. But then, like we've talked about, the Raiders becoming uh, New England West, or New England Vegas, whatever you want to call them, and just being a mess of a backfield anyway. So it'll kind of be like when he was at Georgia. You know, he has a certain specific role. He does that, and that's about it. But in the third,
I am looking for both the Dolphins and the Raiders to break that narrative this year that an OC goes to a new situation as the head coach and they're like everyone always does the one-to-one comparison of the previous offense they're
sure.
in, like nobody's creative on their own,
Mm-hmm.
and that the head coach, when they break away from their previous head coach, doesn't evolve a little bit. So I want to see what happens with Miami and the Raiders. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
calling anything with this take. I guess that's more of like a hope that
Sure,
something switches
sure.
up versus just copycat stuff, which seems to happen. So I understand. I understand why people have that comparison.
Yeah, I think what'll happen is you might see more changes in Las Vegas than you do in Miami. I think that McDaniels was with Shanahan probably as long as McDaniels has been with was with Belichick. Geez, McDaniels and McDaniels. That's really something,
Well,
isn't
it's
it?
McDaniel for the
Oh my
Dolphins.
gosh. Well, McDaniel and the Dolphins with the S. Oh my God. That's a nightmare.
No, the Raiders is
Anyway,
with the
the Raiders is with the. Oh my
S.
God. I'll never get that right. That's fine. But I think you'll see maybe more tweaks from the Dolphins head coach. We'll just go with it that way. More tweaks of the Shanahan system, and maybe a little bit, a few different things, pinches of stuff thrown in here. But I think you could see more wholesale changes away from the New England way from the Raiders head coach, just because he has had head coaching experience before. He's been through this. He's probably just a little bit more comfy, I think.
Oh yeah, been around a lot longer under
Yes.
Belichick. Uh, so both those situations, we talked about it, have quarterbacks with question marks on them. I mean, not anymore, like people would say about Derek Carr, but like not too long ago, people were skeptical about Derek Carr as
Hmm.
in the same light as Carson Wentz.
Hmm.
Uh, so now Carson Wentz is a Washington Commander, and I'm gonna just jump down to I'm gonna
Let me get
skip
my
one
thumb
and
on
come
here.
back. But Carson Wentz is number two wide Wentz's, I like that. Number two wide receiver, presumably, is Jahan Dotson. And I guess Coach Ron Rivera was quoted as saying they had zero questions about taking Dotson at 16, which is a nice vote of confidence, and basically saying he is expected to start at outside wide receiver. Um, you know, so Wentz is the big question when it comes to that, because I do believe in Dotson's talent. And we talked about him possibly being a bust,
Hmm.
on previous podcasts, and that we don't really want him. But I mean, it's nice to get that little bump. Like, uh, if anything, maybe that pushes more of the guys we like more than Dotson down now in upcoming rookie drafts.
Sure. Yeah, I'll take that, and I'll take any hype that comes around his name. But to say that I believe anything that comes out of Rivera's mouth would be a lie. Um, he told us Antonio Gibson was going to be the next CMC. That's yet to happen. Now, Brian Robinson's in a 1-2 punch with Antonio Gibson, who is apparently not CMC. Surprise. Um, and now he's saying about his wide receiver he took at 16. Well, definitely he's a starter, and we feel great about him. Well, you should if you took him at 16. You shouldn't have to tell me that. Um, I just don't care about anything in Washington. I don't want Gibson. I don't want Samuel. I don't want Terry. I don't want Wentz. It's just I don't think it's a bad organization. It's a bad coaching staff. Um, the only person that I'm not acquiring, but I'm actively drafting is Brian Robinson. because I know at some point he's going to fall into some touchdowns and I could probably recoup that second that I spent on him.
After taking the touchdowns.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely agree that with the organizational concerns and Wentz concerns, I hope that we see a little bit of upside for a flip. I hope that we see a little
Yeah.
upside for some
Yep.
production. But to be frank, like Wentz has only played a full season 3 out of 6 years of his career, average of 14 games, 500 attempts, 3,300 yards, 23 touchdowns, and about 10 interceptions. And if you extrapolate that to the current NFL season, the attempts look good at 590. The yards don't look great at 3,900. And he has actually reached 27 touchdowns twice in his career and 33 that year that he tore his ACL.
Okay.
But I think he's a low 20 touchdown guy, which makes me want to say that Carson Wentz is Joe Flacco.
Mm, okay. Yeah. I could see that. Yeah, he had the one MVP year and everything else has been like, yeah, like you're a startable quarterback, but you're nothing to get excited about. Why not tear down from Wentz to your guy Goff?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you could
mean,
probably get a second, if not another second.
even just looking at both of those guys in the same light, and I love
Mhm.
that you are going for getting extra value right there in future picks. It's like how many I want to say like these guys are good value, but at the same time, like now I'm digging into the numbers a little bit and really deeply thinking about guys like Wentz, Goff. I'll just name those two since we're talking about them.
Mhm.
And it's like, how many years did people pay late first or early second to get one of these like a Joe Flacco, and how many years did they
Sure.
waste just disappointing and keeping that team in the middle of the
Sure.
dynasty finish and having a middling rookie pick and getting guys like Jahan Dotson
Right.
to bring it
Exactly.
full circle.
Exactly. So either get yourself elite quarterbacks or just do away with your crappy quarterbacks and tank it out for the next year and hope you have a good incoming quarterback class and you can sell that pick.
I guess I would like to see like if Wentz really hyper targets anybody, which I don't think he does. So that's what's scary about McLaurin and Dotson this year.
Mhm.
Enough Washington talk.
Yeah,
enough
they're
enough
gross.
depressing
They
Washington talk.
suck.
So this I don't know how you guys are gonna take this blurb because I am so heavily biased against or for, not against
Yeah.
Chris Olave.
Oh,
But apparently Peter King reports multiple NFL general managers said Olave was the most NFL ready wide receiver. And I know a lot of people are rolling their eyes like that doesn't mean he has the most upside.
yeah.
Uh But I would counter that with saying I think he has a lot more upside than what people are perceiving.
Mhm.
But I do take this with a grain of salt.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's kind of like the Dotson thing. Like, what are the Saints going to come out here and say? Oh yeah, the guy we traded up for, he's kind of a bum. Like, we really weren't that excited to trade up for him. Like, you can't come out and say that. People be like, What are you idiots doing?" But it's just another fluff hype piece. Yeah, we really love the guy. He's going to be super great. Well, I would hope so. You traded up for him.
Well, if you're Kyle Shanahan, you do that in the early off season, and then late in the off season, you start talking mad crap about him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Shanahanigans are something completely different that we'll never understand.
So I don't think this does anything as far as dynasty value for Olave or the Saints. And like I have Michael Thomas's numbers right here. Like unless unless he shows something and he gets traded, I mean, 38 million dead cap next year and 25 the year after that. Like his agent did a phenomenal job
Yeah.
of getting him all his money that he possibly could get. So
How many games has he even played since he got that contract? 5?
yeah, or like 5 to I don't know exactly what he got injured the previous year before he missed the whole year last year, right? Or
Yep.
did he
And
play?
he missed all of last year. And then in 2020, I want to say he was there the first 4 or 5 games, and then it seemed like he came back for a couple, maybe in there. I don't know. He may have left those though, but I know it wasn't very many games. I know it was super disappointing.
So if he disappoints again, that's just like adds to. I mean, you could say that adds to the upside of Olave, or you could say
Yeah,
it's going to stress Olave out, and he's going to be covered like crazy. But they have. I am not afraid to say they have scraps on that team for wide receiver
they
behind
do. Yeah,
Michael Thomas and Olave. So and that just adds to my bullishness of
sure,
Olave.
sure. And Jameis just peppering him with targets. He's not going to care how covered he is. I mean, he's just chucking it in there. Who's taking his job? Taysom Hill? They moved him back to tight end. That experiment's over. Sean Payton's gone.
Not just that, who is catching the ball? They're still
Yeah,
going to pass more than the Eagles and the I don't know who was second. Maybe I know Seattle was probably down there in pass attempts, even though Russell Wilson was really good. They're always
yeah.
low in pass attempts, but like
He's just stupid efficient.
they're gonna be high in pass attempts, and there's
Mm-hmm.
nobody. They don't even have a tight end. Like they
Yeah,
like
Adam Trout, man.
yeah. I've yet
Gosh.
to see it. I mean, I will gladly welcome it if it comes, but
I would
uh
too. I got a lot floating around out there. I could really, really use a boost to move.
yeah. So we're hoping for that. Let's go dynasty community. Let's
Adam
form a
Troutman.
circle and around Adam Troutman and power him up.
uh,
Uh, so let's jump down to some more rookie talk, but I'm calling this. I think what you called it first was just like pivots off top rookies, but I I put my own pizzazz on it and named it
sure.
rookie value pivots.
All
Wow.
right.
And
RVP.
I kind of
RVP.
put a little footnote here now and like potential
Okay.
for the
Okay.
future. So I don't know if you had that in mind when you
I
were making your
didn't do
selections.
any potential future stuff. I just kind of did what I thought you could get done today, is
Okay,
the way I
that's
went
totally
with it.
fine. So I kind of put, I didn't kind of put, I did put James Cook going into the summer. There's so much hype around. Like I know this is another guy that we talked about as like a potential bust
Hmm.
for dynasty, but it's really tough in rookie drafts right now when you get to that 112 spot. Like I ask myself personally as a John Mechie super fan, like, am I really going to take John Mechie over James Cook? And I'm just not, because not a single other person than me on the planet is even thinking about that right now.
You are correct there.
So it
You're,
doesn't make sense.
I'll
But there
take
is the
Mechie in the third.
possibility, there is a possibility that John Mechie gets more opportunity this year than James Cook.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
not a zero possibility for that. So you take James Cook and you just hope going into the summer that something positive happens for him with like either general hype around him getting more touches than the other guys or camp hype. And I mean, God forbid an injury happens to Singletary.
Right.
I'm not even going to mention Zach Moss. Well, I just did. But
Yeah, I think he's done. Not a
if the
thing.
injury happens, it's 23. You'll get a 23 first for Cook. No problem.
I would think so in season. Yeah. Once those wins start to pile up for people. Yeah.
So you just turned a 112 into a random 23 first that has, 11 chances to be higher than that pick and what a lot of people are saying is a stronger class. I'm not saying it is yet. I know
Hmm.
I will say the top 4 are stronger than the top 4 in this class for sure. But I think that's good return. I think I want to kind of retract my James Cook hate from the last podcast I did with you, Corey, and kind of say like I'm willing to take the gamble that some positive news happens for him and you can flip him
Sure.
for a good value.
Sure. And I think given the right circumstances on the right roster, I'll shoot a couple shots at James Cook. I'm not going to get outlandish with it. I took him in a 1 QB league at like 110 or something like that. But I was super deep at wide receiver, so I was like, am I just going to take another wide receiver, or do I take a shot and get my RB3? Like, it's just a lot of questions at the back of that draft, or at the back of the first round still.
Speaking of the back of the first round, the guys that you wanted to talk about tonight are kind of back of the first round. I mentioned Cook.
Yeah. So I have Christian Watson, Sky Moore, and James Cook. So I thought some good pivots off of them as possibilities could be Amon-Ra St. Brown plus maybe a second, Mooney a second. This is probably just for me because I hate Terry McLaurin, but you could probably Terry plus for any of those three. James Conner, Leonard Fournette, Aaron Jones, possibility of a plus on all those. Maybe Aaron Jones slightly less. Conner and Fournette, I could see it. I've been seeing them go for late first. I've been sending late first and buying all three of these guys. But yeah, I just, anybody that is in my tiers with Amon-Ra, who do we got? Who else do we have here? Mooney, Amari Cooper, Devonta Smith. I don't want anything to do with D-Hop. He's just there because he may perform. But if you can move within the same tier and then get an add-on to it, even if it's a second or a third, even anything minuscule, I think is probably your best bet with some of these more question wide receivers at the end of the first.
Yeah, I'm more skeptical about Sky Moore than Christian Watson, and that sounds weird because Sky Moore is viewed as a more refined prospect, but they're both small school, but I just want the upside of Watson with the size and the athleticism. I know Sky Moore is fast, but I don't know, just something about how Watson runs after the catch as well. And obviously, I have a small amount of Packers homerism involved in that take, but I personally have Watson, and sad to say, I personally have Watson and Olave kind of in a same tier, not as far as like where I'm willing to take them is from the community value standpoint. Like I just know Drake London, Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson are always going ahead of them. So like if I'm queued up at like 7, 8, 9, I'm willing to go Olave or Watson, and then like I'm more so trying to trade out or trade up if I'm looking at getting Sky Moore. Like personally, I'd rather have the upside of Pickens over Sky Moore.
Okay. I can't get there with Pickens. I can see Watson. I could see why you would want Watson, but I think we discussed it last week too with Rodgers and all of his shenanigans. I just would prefer the young, Sky tied to Patrick Mahomes, who we know is not leaving Kansas City. And he's always going to get a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because he has Mahomes. How long was Mecole Hardman a thing? Up until this year?
Yeah, but could you ever get a first for Mecole Hardman?
Not to my knowledge, no.
I know there were people that spent first round picks on him in rookie drafts, but like after that point, I don't think you could ever get a first for him. And I mean, Sky's going in the first right now, pretty solidly. Yeah. I totally get the counterpoint though, with the Mahomes tied to like Mahomes is there, Sky's there for 4 years. The Rodgers questions. As far as the pivots, gosh, I just can't. I can't get myself to go from Watson, the upside of Watson, to Amon-Ra. I know that like, he's still young too, but just more of a. I don't know. The places I'm drafting Watson, he's like that flex play for me. So it's like the upside's just nice.
Oh, you get the plus with Amon Ra. That's where it's at. But there's my Lions homerism against your Packers. So
I just think it would have to. I'm not saying that it's a bad idea to get the plus, but
mhm.
I just don't know if I want it to be a second. Like I'd rather do Watson and a second for Amon Ra and a 23 first.
Mhm. Sure. I'm sure you could finagle your way some way around there. I guess I was just looking. This is kind of how I look at my trades, anyways. I always look at tiering down. I never look at going up. And I went and tried to buy Amon Ra after everybody or after Chark signed, and I couldn't get him for any cheaper than what he was before Chark. Tried when they drafted Jameson Williams, couldn't get him any cheaper than what he was before Jameson Williams was drafted. So I think it's going to take something with some hype like Watson to get an add-on to Amon Ra. But like I'm saying, I have them in the same tier. So if you give me a second, you could even give me a third, and I might contemplate it. Just because I look at those seconds and thirds that I'm getting moving around the tier as ammo for different deals. Not necessarily to make the picks, but to maybe move up in a different deal.
Yeah, or area
Basically,
of need for your
sure,
team.
exactly.
No, that's a really smart strategy for sure. Um, sometimes I like to just hold out for upside though, for like more compensation for more ammo.
Sure,
Uh,
sure.
timing definitely goes into that. So, speaking of, I mentioned George Pickens. Like, I think that he doesn't necessarily have to do anything to gain some hype, and I don't think he's going to lose value based on
Hmm.
being a freshman phenom before the injury. Like, I think
Sure.
that there's always going to be an owner that's kind of hard for Pickens. So
I think
I'm whole.
Pickens. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Oh, I think Pickens just has. I don't want to say excuses. I don't think they're excuses, but I think he has really good reasons why he may not hit his rookie year. Being Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Pat Fryermuth, Najee, rookie Kenny Pickett, and Mitchell Trubisky. You can chalk it up almost to a redshirt season as a rookie, and he should still hold his value, even if he flashes, 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Definitely. Um, the biggest like factor for him is if someone leaves town or if
Hmm.
the quarterback has nowhere to go but up really.
Sure.
Like if they fail, they still have ammo to trade up, right?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
In 23.
I'm
So,
sure they do.
I mean, they have 3 shots basically at quarterback, which is a pretty smart. And what if they franchise tag Deontay? If
Hmm.
is his contract up this year? What if they franchise tag him and trade him?
I believe so. I don't
So
know.
several outs
Yeah.
for Pickens to be up in value. I think I'm predicting this. I guess I'm not sure about it, but I want to make a soft prediction here of Pickens being worth a 23 first plus at some point this offseason, like before the season even.
Before the season. Okay. Ooh.
In certain leagues. Like I just
Right.
think, anything can happen.
Hmm.
I've
Find you a
already
Steelers
had
fan.
I've already had a lot of interest for Pickens where I drafted
Really?
him.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't think I've drafted very much Pickens, so I haven't really had any conversations about him all that often, other than with you. Um, yeah, I haven't seen anything wild for him yet, but who
What about
knows?
Jelani Woods? Is that a guy you're into, the Colts tight end? Because I think people are pretty hyped on him right now. Seen him go early second round.
Yeah, I think I've taken him in the third round. It's not. I don't know. It's just. Yeah, I did the Kyron Granson thing last year because there was just kind of an ambiguous situation for their tight end room. And that's kind of what Jelani Woods feels like to me. And I know everybody's touting his athleticism and his breakout season at Virginia Tech. And it very well could happen. He does have a smarter quarterback now than with Matt Ryan there over Carson Wentz. But still, is it a three-headed monster tight end room? Is it Mo Alley Cox? Is it Kylan Granson? Or is it the raw Jelani Woods? Flip a coin.
I do not like him that much, actually. I just wanted to bring
No.
him up because I've seen him get hyped up quite a bit, and like people say he's their top tight end because he was drafted highly and tested well.
Oh,
But I really think there's going to be a point this offseason where you're going to get at least a 23 second and a 23 third for him, if not two second round picks in two tight end leagues. I'm saying.
sure. Yeah, gosh, it's so hard to move a tight end in two tight end leagues. Like every time I look at my roster, I have all these terrible tight ends sitting down at the bottom, and I'm like, I should move some of these guys. I'm like, it's a two tight end league. Somebody give me a first for Adam Troutman. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, those are tough with the unproven tight ends for sure. The value is just all over the place for people.
Yeah.
And we've talked a lot about just the top wide receivers in this class, but you could say that most people wouldn't want DJ Moore over like Garrett Wilson or Jameson or Burks or London. I bet a lot of people would trade DJ Moore for those guys straight up.
For Garrett Wilson, I would probably just hold on to DJ Moore because I think similarly it's going to be when does Garrett Wilson get a quarterback situation? Kind of like we play with DJ Moore every year. And we
Low
already know
touchdown
that,
volume.
yeah, low touchdown volume. We already know that DJ Moore is going to give us 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. Like that's guaranteed baseline. So why go over to Garrett Wilson and Zach Wilson and hope that they hit their ceiling? I mean, I guess that's why you would go is you're hoping for that ceiling. You're hoping that Zach Wilson is the prospect everybody thought he was.
Yeah, and these two first guys that I had written here, DJ Moore and DK Metcalf, they're basically, just as young from a wide receiver standpoint and more proven. So it's really tough to make that pivot from one of them to one of these rookies unless you're really getting compensation.
Sure.
But somebody like Devontae Adams, the production is obviously going to be there barring injury. But how are you feeling about Devontae versus one of the top tier rookie wide receivers?
So it's gonna be roster dependent, like it is, like everything is for me. If I'm looking to compete this year, I'll take Devontae over pretty much all of them, unless somebody wants to add, which they won't. But if I'm trying to blow it up, I will take Jameson and London for sure. Olave, I'd want a little bit added, maybe just a second, just something small. And then, I don't know, Burks is a coin flip. Tomorrow I might say Burks. Today I'm going to say Adams.
For sure. I mean, you can't argue with the Adams upside for the next 2 years.
Right.
So it's a tough decision, and that's why we ask these questions. It definitely is roster dependent. Just something to think about, I still have to do these studies, and I'd like to do it with multiple people that I kind of have a profile of how they play in my head and like
Sure.
maybe just voice it out and look at the average age at each position for people because you do want that mix. Like You don't want to
Mhm.
just trade away a guy like Amari Cooper for scraps. I mean,
Right.
you
Right.
wouldn't, but I mean, if you have a really strong team and Amari Cooper's like your fourth wide receiver that's really anchoring your flex, like I don't necessarily think you want to trade him for a 23 first.
Right. I think it depends on how your season's going too, though. You know, if he's your wide receiver 4 and you're kind of seeing the writing on the wall, you're down on running backs, you're kind of waiting for somebody to come along, taking a few losses, I'll take the 23 first. I'll
Definitely.
pack it up and stop competing long before I force competing. But that's just me personally. I think it just opens up a lot more avenues in the next year for you with all the picks that you have.
Definitely. And when you try to go the other way, sometimes it does work out. And what I mean by that is trading your injured players on your dynasty roster for
Hmm.
healthy players, but you're almost always taking a hit on the value of your injured player that you're pivoting
Yep.
off of. And then you're probably giving up picks on top of that to make up the value difference. So I'm not going to say that always hurts you, but it definitely can. I mean, it
Sure.
can definitely benefit you too if you really shoot your shot and hit.
Hmm.
You could pivot off an injured player to a superstar, but I mean, that's anything, is possible. It's all up in the air. Why do we even talk about this stuff? I'm just kidding.
Because we love to
Um,
speculate about it. Oh,
but that's where I was going with the the whole rant I was kind of on is like I would love to do a study of like what the sweet spot is for average age and like the spectrums and like how
sure.
many under 25, how many over 25 running backs or wide receivers are like on successful teams or not even successful teams, but just how do you feel comfortable in owning that team? So with my rambling and ranting, I want to cut myself off and move on to just a couple rookie waiver ads because we're
Sure.
finishing up rookie drafts. And some of these guys are making it to waivers. And for me, it's Kevin Harris, sometimes not getting picked at those last few picks in the fourth round of a 12-team super flex. And a guy that really grew on me after I paid a little bit more attention to him, Shig Okonkwo from the Tennessee Titans.
Hmm.
He is a very athletic tight end. I think I talked about him on the last podcast, but
Okay.
they signed Austin Hooper to a 1-year deal only in
Right.
Tennessee, and with all the turnaround there with trading away AJ Brown and putting their trust in Treylon Burks as their wide receiver 1, I mean, you could see a lot of change happening in
Sure.
Tennessee in the near future. And then I had some honorable mentions of Zaquandre for the Dolphins. I mean, he is not your typical prospect, but neither was Ramondre Stevenson.
Hmm.
So bigger body guy, looked decent the 1 year he played at South Carolina. A $0 ad. Nobody's on him.
Right. Right.
And then I had Charlie Kolar, just because the Ravens have Nick Boyle, I think, and then they signed Kolar and Isaiah Likely, who's like all
Mhm.
the mainstreams tight end darling. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Kolar as a sophomore in college, and he
Hmm.
doesn't have the physical attributes,
Right.
but he just seems like a big, solid tight end.
The only thing I think about Kolar and likely being in Baltimore is how long is Andrews in Baltimore? Plus, they run the ball 400 plus times a year. So what slice of the pie are they even getting? Um,
I should have prefaced by saying it's like a total handcuff
oh yeah,
play. Like end
sure.
of roster handcuff play. It's like basically we always say we hope people don't get hurt, but it's like a Mark Andrews gets hurt wild card play
Right.
at the end of your
Oh yeah,
roster, basically.
yeah. And that's all mine are too. It's Cole Turner from the Commanders. I know I said I don't want anything to do with Washington, but we don't know what's going to happen with Logan Thomas. Um, Maybe an opportunity. I put Carson Strong in there because I actually liked the tape of Carson Strong. I think he navigates the pocket pretty well. We've seen the Jalen Hurts story play out a million times. If only he could pass. I mean, that's why he had to transfer from Alabama to Oklahoma, because he couldn't pass. So I think he has a shot there. I'm not holding out much hope. I predicted that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would draft him at the back of the first. Jalen Naylor is a complete homer pick. He went to Michigan State. I liked watching him on the field. He is exciting. He's a little electric. He's nothing to write home about, but if he hits, it'll be somebody exciting for me to cheer for. And then this Samurai Toure character, I believe he's in Green Bay. I think that's why I picked him, just because Christian Watson and who else? Randall Cobb? Sammy Watkins?
Alan Lazard.
Oh yeah, Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a little ambiguous there. So there's a shot that somebody can come out of nowhere.
Yeah, a lot of people are betting on Romeo Dubs.
Oh yeah, Romeo Dubs as well.
I think we've talked about him before, but yeah, definitely a nice. We're talking about like your 32nd spot on your fantasy, your dynasty roster right now.
Yeah.
I believe it's Samori Toure.
I'm gonna call him Samurai.
Interesting. Oh, I didn't even know that. Look at me. Look at you, schooling me on the nicknames.
Oh no, this is auto corrected to Samurai. I'm just calling him Samurai. I don't care what anybody else calls him.
There he is, Samurai.
I guess I think the only different. I guess I shouldn't have pushed so much on Kolar being where they are. I guess my thoughts always with these undrafted guys and waiver wire guys is just I'm looking for the ambiguous situations where there's more almost now opportunities where they're at least going to get a shot, I think, in practice. Like, there's no way he's taking reps away from Mark Andrews.
No, not at all. But I just like to take shots also on talent that I liked.
Sure.
That doesn't necessarily have the opportunity right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
cat attack.
I guess it's injury bets, because I like I said, I don't want anyone to get injured, but people are going to get injured. So I'm going to take my talent, and if they don't work out, like, yes, it's a bust, but I feel like the likelihood of them working out if they do get opportunity is greater than a terrible guy that has opportunity succeeds.
Sure. That makes sense.
If that makes any sense. I appreciate you saying it does.
I understood where you were going with it. I like it.
Take a look at those guys on your dynasty waiver wire, because I'm sure they're maybe not Kevin Harris, but the rest of them are for sure. Maybe even in a 2 tight end league, Okonkwo might be taken. Like, I've seen him go mid 4th round before. I gotta let this cat is crying like crazy. I just got a quick. Sorry guys, I just gotta let him out, and then we'll go to the trades.
Go ahead.
Get out of here. All right, I'm back.
Okay,
I had
great.
a by the door.
I was just doing weird stuff.
I had to release him. I saw a little bit. So I just want to talk a couple dynasty trades now. Sorry, I couldn't hear you because my stupid voice is so loud in my headphones.
Oh no, you're good. I was just doing the Ricky Bobby. I didn't know what to do with my hands. You were gone. My leader is not here. I'm out of control.
I'm back. And I want to talk about dynasty trades. I got offered on a strong team, 14-team Superflex. I got offered Juju for my 25 first. And I just couldn't do it because I felt like I had a strong enough team where I'm like, I'm not trading that far out.
Good job. I would have immediately rejected that. I wouldn't even counter. I'd just be like, no, I have no idea what I'm going to do in 25.
And then I did another trade in a 12-team super flex. It's a mild premium. It's 0.5 running back, 0.5 wide receiver, and a full PPR for tight end. I traded away. It's a mouthful.
It is.
Russell
It's
Wilson.
huge.
Russell Wilson, Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry. I can't go the first three without laughing. I'm sorry. Russell Wilson, Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry, Mike Williams, Michael Thomas, and Odell Beckham. Or George Kittle, AJ Brown, Daniel Jones, 23 first, 24 first, 24 second, a whole slew of 24 picks, a whole slate.
Sure.
Let me do my comparisons of the values real quick before you jump
Okay.
in. So I go Russell Wilson down to AJ Brown in value.
Okay.
So Russell Wilson's worth more than AJ Brown. I go Mark Andrews down to Kittle. Obviously, Mark Andrews worth probably quite a bit more than Kittle to most people, but I see Kittle in 2 tight end leagues going back of the second, sometimes early third. So a half a round to a round behind Andrews. And then I pick up a 23 first, 24 full set of picks. So first, second, third, fourth. For that value difference and giving up these question mark veterans. Like Derrick Henry was injured almost the whole season last year. Mike Williams never played a full season. We already talked about the skepticism of Michael Thomas.
Sure.
And I get all that future value plus Daniel Jones. I forgot to mention.
Sure. So the only two that I don't like moving is Russell Wilson and Mark Andrews.
Well,
I would have
obviously nobody
I
likes
would've-
moving those guys.
I would have preferred to keep them, especially for AJ Brown, especially now in Philadelphia, unless they replace Jalen Hurts. And I'm sure AJ Brown will still get his, and he'll still be AJ Brown. It's just not somebody I go out and trade for, just because the few Titans games I watched, it's AJ Brown to the medical tent. AJ Brown is dinged up on the sideline again. And I'm just like, I just don't want to deal with it. It's just a headache to me. But I could see Kittle and what we say, maybe the 23 first bridges the gap with Kittle, Andrews, or a 24 first, whatever you want to put there. But Russ and AJ Brown, that's pretty similar, like you were saying. And now going to getting a 24 first for probably Derrick Henry. I think that's a great return, especially with where Derrick Henry's sitting.
So you're telling me that if you're holding Mark Andrews and someone offered you Kittle and a 23 first, you don't
Oh,
want
I would take that. I'll take that. I'll take
Okay.
that for sure.
So if say you have 3 QBs, which I guess no, that's dumb. I'm gonna scratch that. But just say any QB situation. If someone offers you AJ Brown and a 24 first for Russell,
But I mean, I see they're both what, second and third round startup picks right now, round about that area. It's been a while since I've done a startup at the moment. But they've got to be pretty close. I mean, maybe it's AJ Brown and that 24 second for Russ, but it's close enough. I mean, I just am out on AJ Brown as the player.
no, I get it. I get it. I'm not even trying to argue that I won the trade. I guess I'm just giving an example of like I basically gave him the veteran discount. And actually he was getting super greedy. Like he was trying to get Juju instead of Odell in this deal. And I actually was gonna do it if he would have gave me all these picks that were in the deal and his 25 first. I was gonna do
25.
Juju as well. But he didn't want to do that
Oh
wisely.
Lord. Yeah.
I basically just I pivoted off. The rest of my team was like super young, so I pivoted
Hmm.
off these risky, high upside, definitely high upside veterans. So
Yeah.
basically,
I was
I'm
gonna
just
say.
saying
Go ahead.
it's not like the end of the world if you lose a little bit of value.
No.
You don't have
No.
to squeeze every bit of value out of a trade. Like that 23 first could easily have injuries happen and be top 5, and
Sure.
someone in your draft is dumb and you get Jameer Gibbs at 5.
Right. Right. Yeah, and with the added context that you have a younger roster and you're looking more towards the future, it does look a lot better that way, especially getting rid of Henry, Williams, Odell, and Michael Thomas. Like Michael Thomas and Odell are almost impossible to move. Mike Williams is near impossible unless you're selling at a discount, and I would say the same about Henry. I mean, all these guys are coming with major discounts if people are even interested in making the deal, which is hard enough to find.
That's the thing, is like it's hard to find deals like this where people are willing to give up 23 and 24 first. So that's why I
Yeah,
was like kind of intrigued by it. And like honestly, I said like my team's on the younger side. It kind of is, but like I still am trying to make the playoffs on this team. Like I don't have my
nice.
23 first on this team. My
Hmm.
quarterbacks are really shaky right now. But like
Okay.
I'm betting on Barkley, Akers, Mitchell, and Melvin Gordon, and Zamir as like a flyer for my running
Hmm.
backs. I'm not the strongest, but I'm still like got some decent running backs. And then I have Debo, AJ Brown, DJ Moore, Amari Cooper, uh, Christian Watson, Juju.
Why aren't you telling me the shaky quarterbacks?
Because they're Tua and Daniel Jones and
Oh,
Marcus Mariota.
why did you trade away Russ? Hate it. I hate it.
I
No, I
traded away Russell because I don't think I'm going to get a deal with 2 firsts coming my way involving him ever again
sure,
after this
sure.
this point. Like if I miss out on the production, that sucks. But I mean, a lot of people were hating Russell before he got traded to Denver. Like
Yeah,
people were
he
legit off him because of the disappointing late season performances.
yes, very streaky, very streaky. I wonder if it comes to an end here in Denver. I think that's the hope for everybody is that it was more of a Pete Carroll like, oh, it's time to pound the rock. We let you do your thing for half the season. Now it's my time. You know, um, we'll see. Only time will tell on that one. But yeah, I think he really hurt this guy's roster too.
I mean, he
Because
has
you
a really good roster now for starters, but I mean, that's part of that always goes into the trade as well. Like
sure.
when you look at his team, he has Cook, Kamara, and now Derrick Henry,
Hmm.
but Kamara is almost surely going to get suspended. And now his wide receivers are like Mike Williams and Michael Thomas went into his starting lineup.
Oh,
And he has
yes.
McLaurin and Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk. So that
And
that that factors
traded
into
his
it.
he traded his 23 first and 24 first.
I mean, he has Wilson now, and he has Kelsey and Mark Andrews. So like I
Okay.
understand where he's gonna get production this year, but it's not really a tight end premium league, and like there's so much skepticism around the core of his roster, which is the running backs and wide receivers. So that
Sure,
definitely
yeah.
added to it for
I
me.
I am not a fan of that wide receiver core. And you have all his picks. You have all his ammo. He can't go out and fix anything. If he
Hmm.
catches an injury, he's going to have to hope that everybody else picks up the slack. If he catches 2 injuries, that's probably it.
Yeah. So that was, I just wanted to kind of I hate throwing someone under the bus, kind of get out of here. But
Oh yeah, I'm not throwing him under the bus, but it's just not. I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, because like if in a vacuum, which is never the case, that trade looks like I got kind of rookie crazy, but at the same time, there's a lot more strategy that goes into it, and like you're
Sure.
never gonna get a 24 first cheaper than you are right now.
Right.
I got
Yeah.
one for Carson Wentz a couple weeks ago.
Really.
hmm
Hmm.
I think it was right before the NFL draft party for Dynasty Theory.
Nice. Nice.
Oh
I
no,
like that move.
it was actually before that even. It was right before uh the week before the pivot point on the Friday or whatever. I
Uh-huh.
remember mentioning it for that show and because I was watching it
Nice.
live. Shout out to
Nice.
Dynasty Theory for
Oh yeah.
I guess I'm on my own
I got my,
podcast so I can brag a little bit now.
I got my Dynasty
I was
Theory gear on
very
today.
there you go.
Yeah.
I was very like humble on Twitter, but I was the champion of the NFL draft party contest with the predictions.
Oh, that's why you got the email?
I have no
Yeah.
clue what I entered in that sheet. I cannot remember for the life of me. Uh, I think I did well with the QB predictions though, because I think I did have Kenny Pickett going first, and that's probably
Yeah.
what took it home for me. But
I'm
yeah,
sure.
I'm the champion.
Nice. Congratulations, man. That's more than I won.
You got to come get it next year.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I need to study the draft more. I think next year, listen to a little bit more NFL centric and less fantasy around that time.
Yeah, right. We're not even going to be there next year because we're going to be at the Gem Drafter NFL draft party.
Oh, snap. Let's have a draft party. We can have a draft party that crashes the Dynasty Theory party.
No, no, I would never want to
No,
do that.
I
But
wouldn't.
I thought that the Dynasty Theory draft party was like us watching those three.
Oh, yeah, you didn't know there was like a big
No,
old chat? Yeah.
no, yeah,
Yeah, it's super
I
fun,
did
isn't
not.
it?
I did not. I was not ready for that. I was the first one to jump in, and John was in there, and I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"What's going on? Am I
Yeah,
supposed to be here?"
honest. Like the whole experience I've had in their Discord, like I can't say enough about it. Like the guys from the podcast are literally right there at your fingertips to conversate with, and they conversate daily. It's crazy the activity levels in there, and the people that you see show up in there. Rocky from Trade Addict Pod, Scott Connor from Dynasty and Chill is in there. Um, Troy King is in there too. He pops in every once in a while. I can't believe how many people you get to speak to in there. It's really awesome. It's an awesome place.
It is, and I can't keep up with it. Like I
No.
felt bad because I'm always like asking stuff in there, but like I feel like I never have enough time to like contribute back. But I try my best. There's
Yeah.
so many contributors, not like what people would think as like a contributor, like a not a fantasy like writer or podcaster, but just like people that just love to talk about values and
Yeah.
all that. So it's fun. I've felt bad the last couple weeks because I haven't been able to get in there as much. Just been really
Same.
busy.
Yeah.
So
The summer weather started to pick up, so work started to pick up, so I can't sit at my drill press anymore and just dynasty away the day.
yeah, it was crazy. I had my heat on like 3 days ago, and then it was 90 the last two
Yeah.
days. So
Yeah. I think
it's
the
that
heat's
time of
getting
year.
to me these past couple days. That's for sure.
So I see that you did not make any trades this week.
Oh man, and I was so sad to have to type that I didn't make any trades. That's how busy I have been at work. I received some offers, but they were lowbally, and then I'd counter somebody, and they'd counter back, with something astronomical. Like I was trying to get James Conner for like the 110 on a team that could compete if I put Conner on that team, but he wanted to sell me Conner for 110 and 202. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I countered back for Connor and Juju for 110, 202, hoping that he just wanted a little bit more from me. And he just flat out declined. And that ended that. That was my most promising negotiation of the week. Kind of depressing.
That seems like a really good counter offer by you.
I thought so too. I didn't think it was too outlandish, but apparently he didn't. He wasn't feeling it. I guess. I don't know.
So you would have been receiving Connor and Juju, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I've talked about the 202 in the same range as like a 24 first if you're getting the right value there. Like
Right.
I know you said you're personally not comfortable for that, but if you think about, whatever algorithm I could make up of the value from now to then in production, if you hit on a 202 type pick, I mean, I want to say I saw a draft in 20 is Jefferson 2019 or 20
2020.
I
Justin.
want to I
You're
think it's
talking Justin
2019.
Jefferson, right? No, he's 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because 2019 was Debo, DK, and AJ
Mm-hmm.
Brown.
Sure.
I want to say I saw Justin Jefferson go at like a 201, 202
That
in
wouldn't.
early
Yeah,
drafts.
I wouldn't be surprised. I am so mad at myself for how many times Justin Herbert just slid past me. I'm sure it happened to everybody, but man,
I want to
disappointing.
say I want to say I can almost guarantee that's going to happen with someone this year. We just don't know who. Like maybe
Yeah.
not to Justin Jefferson level, but someone's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a top 15 dynasty wide receiver in the
Sure.
back of the first round, like a Jalen Waddle type value
Sure.
jump.
Oh, I love me some Waddle. I'm so happy I got to buy a bunch.
I know
That
I'm
was an
trying,
exciting
man.
time. Nice.
Anyway, I know we're probably both trying to get out of here because it's getting late and trying to get back to the fams.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
uh, I think I'm going to sign us off here. Do you have any parting words for the fan?
I don't. Just go out there, enjoy yourselves. Try to make more trades than I do. Don't stand in the sun all day and go crazy like I do. Just have a fun time with it.
I agree, but it is hard to make trades right now, and do not force it if you don't have to.
Yes. Don't force it.
All right, so that is it for today. It was fun. We
Yeah.
will catch you
Had a
guys next
blast.
time on another episode of Gem Drafter.
As soon as I figure out my camera.
See ya.